Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me at Florida Hospital Orlando Laboratory. I'm Sarah Province, the director of the laboratory here, and it's my pleasure to welcome you and to give you a little bit of an introduction about laboratory sciences. And this morning what we want to do is show you around our sophisticated laboratory and tell you a little bit more about clinical laboratory sciences as a career. You're going to see a lot of the automation and robotics that we have in our laboratory, and I hope you find it interesting. I have three other managers that will be speaking with you, and so I'm just going to do a short introduction because I know you really want to see the technology. But just to give you a brief outline of what clinical laboratory sciences is, it's a career that really does harmonize science and technology. It's a great union because anybody who's interested in the sciences like biology or chemistry or anything like that, it combines that along with technology. You're going to see a lot of sophisticated instrumentation in our laboratory, a lot of computerization, and that is so exciting in the development of forming a diagnosis or monitoring of patient disease. So our career is called medical technology or clinical laboratory sciences. We go to school for 4 years, get a bachelor's degree. And at the end of that time, we get a license, and in the state of Florida, we have to be licensed. And so we're able to work in the laboratory, and some labs are very big, like here at Florida Hospital Orlando, and we can specialize in different types of testing. And in other hospital settings where the laboratories are smaller, the technologist is able to do a lot of different kinds of testing for a lot of different disease states. So what is a medical technologist or clinical laboratory scientist? So this is a person who works in the laboratory. We do testing for physicians who need to know the diagnosis of a patient, who want to monitor the disease progression or monitor treatment, or find out test results so that they can prevent disease, that kind of thing. And so I'm sure a lot of you have had blood drawn in the past. You know what laboratory testing is at the front end, but maybe you don't know what happens on the back side and behind the scenes. The laboratory is an environment that's definitely sort of behind the scenes, but almost vital to the care of a patient. So in our hospital, we have about 1,400 beds. That means 1,400 patients inside our hospital rely on us every single day for laboratory testing. And that doesn't even count all the specimens we get from outpatient settings like a physician's office or a nursing home and that kind of thing. We get about 6,000 samples a day into our laboratory. We run almost 12,000 tests a day in our lab, so it's a busy place. And I guess you can see from the environment here, it's very busy, kind of crowded with a lot of instrumentation, but we work indoors, so that's a good thing. And if you're interested in the health sciences and caring for patients, it's a good way to get involved if you're not really a people person, I'll put it that way. When I decided to choose medical technology, I really loved the sciences and the healthcare aspect of helping people, but I didn't necessarily want to be at a bedside caring for a patient. So this was a great way for me to be involved in that. Laboratory sciences, we do a lot of work for a patient here, and so 70% of a patient's chart here at the hospital is composed of laboratory results. I don't know if you ever knew that how much a physician relies on laboratory testing, but it's a really important aspect of caring for a patient. So enough of that. Oh, I want to tell you a little bit about the career. So like I said, you need a 4-year degree. The average salary, I looked that up this morning, is between $60,000 and $65,000 a year. So quite comfortable. And as you can see, it's a really great work environment. We have a very diverse team in our laboratory. And like I said, we have a very busy laboratory, so we have a lot of laboratorians here. We have about 400 people on staff here at Florida Hospital Orlando, and a very diverse team. You're going to see people from all walks of life. Some people went to school in the United States. We have a local university at University of Central Florida has a program for clinical laboratory sciences, but other people were trained outside the country and they come to work here. So you're going to see that this is kind of a cool thing about working together with people of all cultures. So one team member that I did want to introduce you to is Robbie. And this is a time when we can show you a video, the sample video, about one of our important team members. All right, so my video is started. Hopefully yours is too. So Swisslog has developed a robot for us to deliver samples throughout our laboratory. You're seeing our specimen processing department. We get, like I said, about 6,000 samples into our laboratory, and they need to be delivered through the hallways of our laboratory to different areas that do testing. So in this case, Robbie the robot travels the hallways. He's had a computer memory programmed so he knows the outline of our laboratory and all the hallway configurations. And he uses lasers, you can see them blinking on him, to know how he's traveling through the laboratory and if there are any obstructions. So as he moves through the hall, he knows to turn left or right, depending on where the sample is supposed to be delivered. On the top of this robot, you can see several buttons next to that black bin. And those buttons are pushed by our laboratory team. And they tell the robot where to deliver the sample. So you can see how he kind of maneuvered around that person who was in the hallway. He scans the hallway, looks for obstructions, and he tries not to bump into anybody. He wants to make sure he avoids anything where there's a collision. So in this case, he stopped outside of our virology department, and he sends a signal inside, and the technologist knows that there's a sample waiting in the hallway on the robot. They retrieve the sample, and he moves on his way. What's nice about Robbie the robot is he works 24/7, just needs short breaks to charge, and you probably saw him at his charging station when we started. So it's a really reliable source for walking samples through the laboratory. Instead of a person doing that, Robbie delivers them. So you can see the technologist pushed a button to send him back to the area where he can retrieve more samples. Again, he's trying to maneuver around somebody in the hallway. Somebody did that on purpose. But it's funny, like he'll try to go around the housekeeping cart, or if the engineering team has a cart with supplies, they're trying to fix something, he'll go around it. Here's a case where there's a cart in the hall. He wants to make sure he avoids that. One thing that does cause him some discomfort, though, is when we have a fire alarm drill, and then the doors close, the fire doors close, and then he can't get through the hallways very easily. I think you get the idea about how he travels through the laboratory uninterrupted, and a great time saver for our team.
All right, so that was a great introduction. Now, the laboratory have different areas or where the sample travels. So my team, it's the one that take care of the initial part, anything that happened before the testing, once the sample is collected. So let's work to my area. So here in the specimen processing area, it's where my team will get all of the specimens that are sent. Like Sarah said, we get about 6,000 patients a day, but in samples, it could be more than 10,000 sessions that we will be handling at any point during the day, or not any point, many samples at one point. Over here, we have the different stations where we can session the specimens or receive them in the computer. We'll handle them to the centrifugation part to make sure that all that blood is separated and not just having the whole blood. So you know that the blood has different components, so we make sure that we keep the liquid part up, and that's the one that we use on the chemistry analyzers to do all of the testing. And hematology will use the whole blood to do their part, and you'll see a little bit more later on. So the cool part of this is the technology that we have, and also we have Robbie right here sitting down, taking a break from his hard work. And also we use the NPA, which is a pre-analytical module. And what it does is, for us, we load it on the instrument, and it does the centrifugation, separates the specimen, and send it to the chemistry analyzer. I'm going to show you that line over here. So right now, when we have a patient or a sample, we get the samples over here. The specimen will go through the line, and inside it will go through the different stations of the analyzer. Right over here, we have two big centrifuges, and they spin down the specimen and separate them. And it comes over here where all of the caps get taken out. From there, it comes to the aliquoter station, where it creates a little pour off. It takes a little bit of the plasma or serum out and puts it on another tube. It will be something like this, and we'll have sample over there that will go to the different departments to be tested. Right over here, you can see right now it's doing some of the aliquot or the pour off. So it takes all the volume that it needs from the specimen. It puts it on the different cups or tubes that it needs to go, and from there it goes straight to the analyzer. It's very important that we know exactly how this instrument works because we are the ones that operate and troubleshoot anything with this instrument. So we do all the handling, we make sure that everything is working, we do all the maintenance on the instrument. So it's something very cool that many of us actually enjoy working with it because it's not only doing our job, but it also helps us on managing things and in a more efficient way. Okay, so from there, you have another station where it does the labeling of a specimen. It takes it, puts a label on it for proper identification. It puts caps on it. So it actually puts a cap on the tube. And then from there, we either get them back here in this area, or it goes back to the P701. Where I want to show you that. And I'm gonna open it soon, okay? So here is where the specimens, once they're completed, they will come over here and be archived or put into storage. And there's a video that I would like you to see right now, which is the video sample video. All right, so on the video over there, you're gonna see the different functions that this instrument has. Some of the samples that are done are completed. Sometimes it doesn't have a cap on. So what it does is it will take that rack with the specimens and will manage them or handle them to put a cap on it. Also, it puts them on another area where another robotic arm will take it, the specimen, scan the barcode, make sure that it knows what it's doing or has in hand, and put it on a rack, specific location for later retrieval if we have to. So from there you can see that arm, that how it moves, everything is coordinated. The robot has the brain that tells it exactly what to do and how to do things. The cool thing is about this, it has kind of eyes. It takes a picture of the rack, and it knows and recognizes the height of the tube, if it has caps, if it doesn't have a cap. It knows exactly what it's handling just by taking a picture of it. So it saves a lot of our time as well. As you can see, we have so much specimen that comes around and in the lab and keep on moving. So handling all of those manually will be a lot of time consumed from our days. Okay, so once the specimens are done on this area, I'm going to show you where it actually puts it. So let's go this way now. This is the refrigeration, the refrigerated area. So right over here, you can see that we have about 3,500 specimens that we can store, and we keep for 7 days. And let me show you that. It's a cool environment here. We have an arm. Then this arm will be the one that handles all the racks over here with all of the specimens. So it will pull out racks, put them back in. It will recognize where they are. It will do all of the fun stuff that happens in here. So it's a nice area here. So, sorry. So that will be it for the specimen processing or the pre-analytical area of the lab. Now let's go to chemistry, where the sample continues on the journey in the lab.
Hello,
name is Susan. I'm the chemistry supervisor here at Florida Hospital. This is a real large department that we have here. It's all chemistry. How many of you think that chemistry is for geeks? Well, it's not. Chemistry is really biochemistry in my mind here in our laboratory because we're measuring things in your body, such as glucose, which you all probably are familiar with, potassium, vitamins, vitamin D, things like that that people take. And we also measure things that you shouldn't be taking, like drugs. We have cartridges of our drugs this is a cocaine cartridge. This goes on our analyzers. But I just wanted you to get a little background on what we do here. This is a blood sample that's drawn from the patient. This is a whole blood sample, so this blood does not clot in two. It has an anticoagulant in there that keeps it in a liquid state. This is a sample that's drawn from a patient that does clot. There's no additives in this tube. So we test the liquid part of the blood. We spin it down, as Ian just showed you over here on our processing department. We spin it down, and the cells go to the bottom, and the liquid part of the blood is at the top. So this is what goes on our analyzer. I wanted to show you all of our automation. We have a lot of automation in our department, and we can probably pan over here to show a lot of other instruments. We have about 10 technologists working in chemistry today, so everybody's busy running their instruments. Let's go to over here, and I'll show you what Ian talked to you about. The samples that come through the pre-analytic analyzer right here, and they come to our machine. So our machine is all computer controlled and operated also. So every little cup and every sample is accounted for. There may not be a name on these cups, but the computer knows who these patients belong to. So these samples are routed through the analyzer. This big analyzer, this part of the analyzer right here, I can open up and show you pipetters that are moving. These pipettes are picking up patient sample, putting it into these cuvettes right here. Then it's picking up the reagents from the cartridge that I showed you and putting it in the cuvettes. It goes through an incubation period, maybe sometimes like 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, and then it spits out a result. The results are then collated and they're reviewed by the technologist who's over here. You can see over here, there's a technologist. He's looking at results. Some of our results, if they're normal, just automatically go into the computer system. But if we need to call critical, we do try to save lives here. So I call critical values. It could be a glucose or it could be potassium. It's a life-threatening result. So he's sitting there looking at results. The thing about our science is that we have to know the background behind what we're doing. We have to understand what it means when we have a high DUN and a high creatinine. We do testing for liver function. We do testing for heart. We do testing for kidneys. We do a lot of transplants here at Florida Hospital, so we have a lot of abnormal patients. So we have to monitor those abnormals all the time. These pieces of equipment do break down. So we are part. And you have to know how to fix these instruments when they break down. So that's the fun part. This is what I like about is the troubleshooting and trying to figure out what's going on with these instruments. So pretty much that's what we do here in this department. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy what we do. I've been doing it for many years. And it keeps me fresh. It keeps me interested in the technology and the changes and growth year to year. All right. We'll go by rock. She's right down there. Maria's going to talk about hematology.
Hi, welcome to hematology. Let's move our real estate over here. First of all, hematology is the study of blood diseases. So we encompass quite a few things. For instance, we have the state-of-the-art instruments here. If you'd like to follow the agenda. that will actually try and determine, are you normal, are you a clotter, are you a bleeder? So that's one of the things that we kind of try and detect. And of course, before you go for any surgeries, whether tooth extraction, etc., you may find that the doctor would want to know these tests, right? The other thing that we do here in hematology, of which you need a chemistry certification, is urinalysis. Very, very important to see if you have any kidney dysfunctions. And it's interesting to know that in your urine you can find crystals, you can find different kinds of cells, some of which you probably have heard of. Your white blood cells, your red blood cells, which may or may not indicate a certain problem, of course, of which will help your doctors diagnose. So if you notice, I have a lot of my colleagues here, and he's performing manual testing, a lot of testing to see if you have an inflammation or an infection, for instance. We do testing on body fluids as well. You may have heard a lot of warnings about the brain-eating amoeba. This is exactly where we do it. We detect it under the microscope. Moving forward, if you notice, we have a few microscopes here. We deal a lot with, again, blood diseases. If you can focus here, Amanda, believe it or not, with a single drop of blood that Angie is making slides on, we can detect whether a patient has an allergic reaction or perhaps a bacterial infection or a viral infection. So, or some of you've heard of leukemias, lymphomas, you've heard of anemias. We have many, many types of those different blood diseases. And so when we detect immature cells in the slide, then that will make the doctor perform even better or other tests to make sure that he's on the right track for the diagnosis and prognosis of the patient. Yeah. Now, this is, again, I would say, the state of the art. We do have an analyzer. We call it a hematology analyzer. When the doctor asks for your blood to be drawn, we pass the blood through this instrument, and what it does with a few drops of blood, it will measure up to 31,000 cells. And it goes through, it will give you your hemoglobin. You've heard of the term WBC, your white blood cells, your red blood cells. After which it will kind of talk to the computer. The computer will detect as to whether we need further testing. So it will make an automatic slide for us. And now here you see Imogene looking at the slides under the microscope. Now this particular monitor that you're seeing all the cells in is attached to that main instrument, and it gives us a view of the cells that we see. It can count up to 600. We have it measuring 120 cells, and that's how we do it versus doing it under the microscope. Truly the state of the art. The wish is that we can remote this to any doctor, to any site, to ensure that we give the doctor a better view of what's happening to the patient. As a matter of fact, I will reiterate that this will give us a better view of, am I still on?
Yeah, sure.
Of whether it's a bacterial infection, viral infection, etc.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for joining us today at Florida Hospital Laboratory. And also I want to mention that our degree in medical technology or clinical laboratory sciences can be used for more than working in a hospital laboratory. Only about 50% of people with this degree in a hospital lab. But there's careers in research, careers in sales or manufacturing. There's a lot of different. So maybe you'll consider that if you really like laboratory sciences. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
You too. You too. Bye.
Canceling current command. Stopping. If you take a picture, it lasts longer. I hope I am facing my duck. Thank you. I know where I am. Pardon me. Ouch, my bumpers are very sensitive. Sorry. I have not had my coffee yet today. Hey, that is not nice. Sorry, I left my glasses at home. Please, are we really going to play this game? That makes me mad. You won't like me when I am mad. sorry I left my glasses at home. Hey, that is not nice.